This is the Parliament Channel and Parliament Radio 105.5 FM.
Listeners on Parliament Radio 105.5 FM, or viewers on the Parliament Channel, and those of you joining us via the World Wide Web on the Parliament's website, www.ttparliament.org. We expect in just over 1 minute time at 1:30 p.m. to have the resumption of today's sitting of the 13th National Youth Parliament. This is, of course, on Monday, November 9th, 2015. Being debated right now is a motion on the use of mobile devices in schools. We expect that the debate will continue until approximately 3:30 p.m., including a prize-giving ceremony and award ceremony at which we expect some members of Parliament to address the gathering. Don't forget that you can follow us on social media, Facebook and Twitter. We go over now to the chamber for the resumption. We now return to the 13th National Youth Parliament that takes place on Monday, November 9th, 2015.
Member for Laventille West.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for this opportunity to present my presentation. Before I begin, I would like to commend the Honourable Minister of Education, the MP for Diego Martin Central, on for her sight, on realizing that this country is faced with a terrible epidemic. And it surrounds, Madam Deputy Speaker, the improper usage of mobile devices in our schools. And I would also like to further commend her, Madam Deputy Speaker, for realizing that, as my colleague put it, realizing her shortcomings. And I believe when he mentioned the words shortcomings, I believe he was referring to the fact that the bill is fundamentally flawed, and which we are going to further address these flaws, Madam Deputy Speaker, at a later time. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, what I am here to point out, what I would like to point out to the House, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that the both sides of this House are basically in coherence, are basically in convergence with this bill. We both have the same sight, we both want the same things to take place, the same changes to be made to the bill, Madam Deputy Speaker. And it is also brought to my attention that there is a bit of mix-up, and I would like to apologize on the opposition's behalf for this, Madam Deputy Speaker, for I do not believe we clearly stated our stance on the bill. Madam Deputy Speaker, we agree with the Minister wholeheartedly. Yes, something needs to be done. But only to a point, Madam Deputy Speaker, as I mentioned before, the bill is fundamentally flawed. And because of that flaw, Madam Deputy Speaker, we were misguided, Madam Deputy Speaker, as to her intents. Now, it is evident that we need to take hold of the situation. As the Minister mentioned before, the punishment or the disciplinary action of suspending someone off the bat for merely pulling out their phone for a couple seconds to look at the time when a clock is unavailable, Madam Deputy Speaker, or to check a message that he or she received from their ailing grandmother in the hospital. the consequence of suspension because of that act is simply too harsh and should not be implemented. Pardon? Madam Deputy Speaker, I will now quote, clause 5, subsection 2, which states, where a principal of a school is satisfied that a student has acted in breach of section 3 or 4, the principal may suspend from attendance any student whose attendance at school is likely for any serious cause to have detrimental effect upon the other students. Madam Speaker, I would now like to propose a question to the other side, Madam Deputy Speaker, and that question is, what would you say would be the detrimental effect of looking at the text from your grandmother? What if I would like to ask Madam Speaker, what if I look at this text that I received from my grandmother and that caused another pupil, my colleague, to look at my phone for a minute? Is that then that I would be suspended because I was concerned about my grandmother's physical or mental well-being? Madam Deputy Speaker, going back to the point of being coherent with the government, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to point out something that the MP for point 14 said, and I quote, "Too much of a good thing amounts to a bad thing." Now, the House might ask, where did we agree with this? And I must say that it was quoted, something similar to it was quoted earlier, when the member for Faizabad said, we need to find the right balance of the seasoning. All right? We need to... Madam Deputy Speaker, forgive me if I am wrong, but it is in my belief that these two things are basically intertwined. Madam Deputy Speaker. And I would also like to touch on a point that the member for Tabakit made, where he proposed the question, saying that are we to give the youths, even from preschool, at such a tender age where their minds are developing, the mobile devices to use? I say yes, Madam Deputy Speaker. Why? Because the intent of the bill is not to prohibit them or deter them from using the mobile devices, but to teach them the correct way to use the mobile devices. And I say to him, Madam Deputy Speaker, and to this House, that at that tender age, their minds are easier to mold, easier to take the things that we are giving them and use it throughout their lives. Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to draw into reference to highlight my point.
Member, your time has expired. I will give you 10 seconds to wrap up your presentation of your contribution.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. My point is that there's a saying that goes, bend the tree while it is young. If you bend it while it is big, while it is grown, it will break. It will surely break, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank you for the time.
Member for Library.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I sat in my chair for the hours that we have been in this honorable House, and I listened to the presentations made. And I need to say, reading and understanding is very important. Members of the opposition repeating over and over that we want to ban technology. But if they read the bill, because like some of them did not read past the title of it. Approximately 5 weeks ago, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Express newspaper carried an editorial from the Barbados Nation entitled, "Remove Cell Phone Mystique, Promote Education." In the article, the author acknowledged the need for drafting a set of guidelines as a precursor to allowing the ever-present devices on school campuses in the hands of pupils. Madam Deputy Speaker, today we have a huge responsibility in debating this bill in Parliament. because allowing students to carry their mobile devices brings with it a number of disciplinary and administrative challenges not properly addressed in the Education Act. Our job here today is crucial, and I will quote again from that same article, a local one I would like to reiterate. And it states, it is understandable why teachers and their unions would have concerns and why some principals, Madam Deputy Speaker, might be cringing at the thought of having to manage nearly 1,000 cell phones in a confined space. Madam Deputy Speaker, this legislation remains crucial. Let us face the facts, Madam Deputy Speaker. Whether we agree or not, the mobile devices like a smartphone is, and I will quote again, a critical communication device, with multiple constructive functions. And if properly managed, and I want to stress on the words, Madam Deputy Speaker, properly managed, can be a most effective tool in the teacher learning process. Madam Deputy Speaker, but we need to be realistic too. Anything used irresponsibly or recklessly without supervision will be to the detriment of an individual. This same concept can be applied to the mobile device. Our society, Madam Deputy Speaker, has witnessed firsthand the adverse effects of the irresponsible use of mobile devices, and has been further exacerbated by the failure of many parents to comply with teachers and school administration when they try to instill discipline. As members on the opposition keeps reiterating, especially the member for San Fernando West, to ban mobile devices, Madam Deputy Speaker, will be an ignorant move on our part, akin to the actions of the Jesuit monks who, to stop the spread of Protestantism during the Counter-Reformation, when books and pamphlets were destroyed and burnt, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, the government bench recognizes the tremendous benefits of mobile devices, and so we are not afraid to step outside of our comfort zones to try to treat with the issue, because it is the issue, lack of proper regulation, that has caused the mobile device to become an arch nemesis to the education system. Madam Deputy Speaker, the member for Oropouche West and Laventille West are saying that we are being too harsh with reference to the clause 5, subsection 2, subclause 2. The disciplinary matrix clearly states the misuse of technology, cyberbullying, creating, uploading, downloading, posting or forwarding abusive, threatening, or obscene, derogatory personal comments, graphic content, repeated offenses, suspension, referral to law enforcement. So how we do that? Madam Speaker, the future of our generation is no longer in the book bags, but it is in the pockets of our students. And since we live in a technological age, I would like to see the mobile device become.
Member for Brea, your time has now expired.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, but I would like to end with a quote. From the op-ed, as unobstructive as a book in the hands of pupils minus the fighting attitude and the mystery of drama that now appear to fuel deviance. Thank you very much.
Member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to contribute into this debate. And I'd like to start with a quote by David Wallach, and I quote, "You need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hand, because it is the pen and the paper of our time, and it is the lens through which we experience much of our world," end quote. Madam Deputy Speaker, we must not see mobile devices as an add-on, but as a tool to carry students forward. Madam Deputy Speaker, in the past and to today, we have seen our schools participate in student exchanges with international schools, where we have students coming from Latin American schools, schools from the USA and even as far as Japan, Madam Deputy Speaker. And these students in their countries have been exposed to the use of mobile devices in the classrooms from a young, tender age. Madam Deputy Speaker, on their arrival to our shores, shouldn't we provide them with those same technological advances or those same mobile devices which they use in their countries? I will go on to read an excerpt from the periodical called Adjournment in an article written by David Nagel on the 5th of August 2013, where he said that most elementary and secondary school students in the United States are using mobile devices in their classes, in their studies, either in home or in schools. And the study was conducted with students grades 1 through 12, ages 8 to 18, Madam Deputy Speaker. Also, Mr. Nagel went further on to say that significant chunks of the school population are using less traditional methods of learning. And that goes clearly to show, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the majority of students utilize mobile devices in their studies and have seen tremendous increase in their academic performance.
Member for Kumoto, please refer to Standing Order 53, Section 1, Subsection E, where no member should be speaking when another member is giving contribution.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And as I was saying, when these students arrive on our shores, Madam Deputy Speaker, they must be greeted, as I said before, with the same technological advances in their education system as here in Trinidad and Tobago. And Madam Deputy Speaker, we are competing in a global world. And every chance that we are given, we should use that to make a strong and definitive impact, to show those other countries that our educational system here is very developed. Which leads me to my next point, Madam Deputy Speaker, where I will further reiterate on what my other member for Laventille West was saying, that not having mobile devices in schools would hinder student creativity and development, Madam Deputy Speaker. Because in today's world, Madam Deputy Speaker, there are students who are able to create or innovate. And an example of such a student, Madam Deputy Speaker, is a student by the name of Arthur Goddard of the Goodwood Secondary School in Tobago, where he entered a competition entitled the Science, Innovation and Invention Competition, which was hosted by the Honorable President of Trinidad and Tobago, where he was required to develop and create an educational network to help students academically, Madam Deputy Speaker. And he created a program entitled The Seeker, where it was a program used to help students develop their skills outside of the classroom, which can be used to help them further study on their own, utilizing mobile devices, of which he was able to utilize these mobile devices in school to create this program. And keeping in mind, Madam Deputy Speaker, that this young man was only 15 years old, he placed third in a competition with over 500 applicants, Madam Deputy Speaker. And to close, I'll say I agree that we must be careful how we look at this bill and how we look at the uses of mobile devices in schools. And at no time should we consider totally eradicating or banning mobile devices in schools, Madam Deputy Speaker. And to leave, I will leave the government with something to ponder on. How can you build a house with no windows? Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Member for St. Anne's East.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Now, the opposition have stated that they are here today to highlight the shortcomings of the government. However, allow me to highlight their shortcomings. Member for Separia stated that the effect of Clause 3 is that it leaves no room for emergencies or unforeseen circumstances. However, as stated by the Honorable Minister of National Security, when students are allowed to use these mobile devices freely in cases of emergencies, it exacerbates the problem when it arises because it causes system overload and jams the networks. According to the member for Point-a-Pay, developed countries have integrated technology in classes despite its negative effects. and uses IT in all classes. However, as stated by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM, when mobile devices are removed from classrooms, it increases student performance.
Standing Order 4410, members reading from a speech.
As I was saying,
Can we have some order?
as stated by Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Member, you're not allowed to read from your speech. You did not say that you were going to from before. You did not address the speaker in that sense. Therefore, please do not read from your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. As stated by the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM, when mobile devices are removed from classrooms, it increases the performance of students in this case. Now, while, yes, mobile devices bring about a benefit, let's say this level, according to what the Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM said, when we remove the mobile devices and use the more old school way of teacher and student one-on-one basis, mobile devices are here. The benefits of that, the latter, are here. So it shows that when we remove mobile devices, it outweighs the advantages of mobile technology. Now, according to the member for Faizabad, the implementation of government laptops still incur costs. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, I urge you not to fall victim to this myopic way of thinking, because this short-term cost brings about a long-term advantage to the nation. According to the member for Digger Martin West, the radiation produced by mobile devices is non-ionizing and does not have a detrimental effect. Now, while it may not have a physical effect, as she claims, Madam Deputy Speaker, there are psychological implications of these mobile devices, such as addiction, which take away from the learning of students. According to the member for La Hawketa, she stated something about agriculture, and there are apps in mobile devices which help to locate trucks and tractors. However, I must say that it is unfortunate because this is irrelevant to the motion, which seeks to regulate the use of mobile devices in schools. According to the member for Oropouche West, we need to regulate the use of mobile devices. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to applaud my honourable member, as he agreed with us in saying that we need to regulate the use of mobile devices, because as I stated before, as said in the title of the bill, the regulation of mobile devices. I repeat, the regulation of mobile devices. So thank you, Madam Member. According to the Honourable Member for Mayaro, he put forth a philosophy where the student is not a spectator, but a participant. And this is achieved when we use mobile devices and technology. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, tell me, have you ever heard of a class where the teacher asks no questions, where there are no assignments, no tests, and so forth? If yes, I'd just like to ask you to liaise with the Minister of Education, because I can assure you that this is not what a classroom is. It is a hasty.
Member for St. John's East, your time has now expired. You have 3 seconds to wrap up your contribution.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Member for Caroni Central.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, my contribution today will be one very brief, concise, mostly reiteration, solely for the purpose of the consolidation of points, which were put forth so eloquently by my honourable members of opposition. As stated before, again by other members of opposition, we have agreed that the bill as it stands is fundamentally flawed, and we agree, I hope, that amendments need to be made, which I will assume will be done in committee stage. But for now, the point which I would like to discuss is on clause 3, which states, and I quote, "No student attending a primary school shall use a mobile device while he is at school." Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, keeping in mind the definition of the word an accident, which is an unexpected or unplanned event, which I believe can happen just as much to a primary school student as it can to a student of secondary school, a student at tertiary level, so on and so forth. And I also believe that in the events of these unforeseen situations occurring to these students that they should be able to readily communicate, to just give some sort of assurance to their parents that, okay, my well-being or my whereabouts are not compromised in any way. For example, let's say if Bob was to not be feeling well in school, Bob should be able, and he's in primary school, Bob should be able to say, okay, I will use my mobile device, granted the fact that permission has been given to do so prior to the usage of his device. So here we see, or here I hope the government can see, that we are not here as the opposition to disregard your concerns. You can assume the main concern which stood out, right, is that the distraction that is involved with these mobile devices being used in school. But we as the opposition have taken into consideration those concerns and have incorporated them into what I would hope would be the amendments in the committee stage. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, addressing the Minister of Finance earlier today, member for Shogunas East, he threw some astounding figures, right, of millions of dollars, billions even, that was spent behind education for the development, education-wise, of these students. Mr. Speaker. My question for you, Minister of Finance, and by extension the entire government, is how can we as leaders of today put a price tag on an investment such as the educational development of the leaders of tomorrow? As stated countless times before by the opposition, and I would like to believe also by the government, we are in an age that is technologically advanced. And that is why I can say today, without a doubt, that technology is something that has entered into our lives and is not to go, but to stay and develop as the years go by. What I think that the government has misunderstood, or I hope that they have not misunderstood, is that the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow, and those are the students that we will pass the baton on when we are too old to work. And in an age, as I said previously, we are in a technological age that will only continue to advance as time goes on, and we cannot allow the students to be only exposed within the margins of laptops that have been distributed by the government. Right? I believe that these mobile devices should be implemented, and like I said again previously, regulated to ensure that abuse will not occur with the students. In closing, I would like to point out member for Tunapuna and member for Brea who making such accusations to say that we as the opposition did not read past the title of the bill. Now, while I know that the explanatory note,
member, your speaking time has now expired.
All right, so I'll have to cancel that for now. But Mr. Speaker, do I have any additional time to wrap up, please?
I will give you 10 seconds.
10 seconds. All right, well, in closing, I'd like to leave you guys the quote, which is, and I quote, "A wolf in sheep clothing is still a wolf. So why should we accept prohibition disguised as regulation?"
The honourable member, or the honourable member for Princestown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start my contribution saying that, in my humble opinion, I do not believe that the bill is flawed, but instead I think that what is fundamentally flawed is the understanding of the bill by my opposition members. Mr. Speaker, we, the government, understand the benefits of using technological devices in the classroom. We see the benefits of having it integrated in our education system. For this reason, it has been ensured that every single school, primary and secondary, have been outfitted with IT labs, and that a vast majority of secondary school students have been provided with laptops for their use. Most of the arguments put forward by the honourable members of the opposition seem to suggest that the use of mobile devices in the classroom gives a sort of advantage to the students. As the honourable member for Diego Martin West, I believe, pointed out, different students learn differently, which I agree with. While these arguments may be valid, one must recognize that there is very, very little difference between a mobile device and that of the laptops that have already been provided. You can use a mobile device to look at diagrams, say in science, or videos, as you can the laptop that has been provided. You can use the mobile device to listen to recordings of foreign language speakers, for example, foreign language students, as you can do with a laptop. You can use a mobile device to store ebooks, as you can use the already provided laptop. So why then should we provide mobile devices when we have already provided the technological devices that are required in the classroom? And although the honourable member for Oropouche West repeatedly stated in his contribution that his idea of a mobile device included a laptop, I would just like to point out that we're not going on personal opinion of a definition, but we're going by what is stated in the bill. And if I may quote Clause 2 of the bill, where a mobile device is defined, as I quote, mobile device means a mobile telephone or any other device which performs an interactive communication function by transmitting and receiving data, but does not include a personal laptop computer provided by the government. And to avoid ambiguity, let me just repeat, but does not include a personal laptop computer provided by the government. Therefore, if the laptops can be used in classrooms, there is no real need to have a mobile device used in classrooms since their functions are practically identical. That being said, we do see the benefits of having the mobile devices in terms of communication and safety, which is why the bill does not seek to ban, but seeks to regulate the use of mobile devices in classrooms, in schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Oropouche East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to begin, I'd like to commend the government on the hard work that they've devoted to this bill that I think would contribute great value to the youth and, by extension, the citizenry of our country. If, of course, they agree to our amendments. Mr. Speaker, the member for Point Fortin said, and I will quote, that she believes that if there were no problems, we wouldn't be here today discussing this bill. We are yet to hear a cogent argument from the government for this bill being brought forward today, Mr. Speaker. Is it because mobile devices are a distraction during school? Mr. Speaker, most schools successful in academia actually have mobile device policies. In fact, Lakshmi Gills Hindu College, recipient of a President's Gold Medal this year in 2015, has a mobile device policy. In a study conducted by the Ministry of Health, 2,200 students were suspended for a 7-day period in 2012. Subsequent to that, approximately 700 had to have extended suspensions. Mr. Speaker, the disciplinary measures of suspension and expulsion are archaic and have no place in the modern world. On the note of the Minister of Education's assumption that there will always be a teacher with a communication device around. Mr. Speaker, this is no time to assume. There are possible cases where the public or perpetrators enter the compound. And during lunchtime or break time, I don't think the teachers sit down in classes, do they? Not only that, but do the security officers patrol onto the top floor of the school every lunchtime? Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, mobile friction is not as very similar as the government makes it out to be. Additionally, transferring the child is not going to indoctrinate good conduct. What qualifies which school would take in students with such infractions, Mr. Speaker? Those schools and the innocent students already attending them then become labeled. And what happens to the problem? Is moving a child to a new school going to solve the problem? Are they just going to stop using their mobile devices in class because they were moved to a new school? Think about that for a second. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, expulsion is not just unnecessary, tyrannical, and absolutely counterproductive, but is in violation, infringing on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 21, subsection 2, everyone has a right of equal access to public service in his country. Article 26, subsection 1, everyone has the right to an education. There is a plethora of punishments that could be implemented, Mr. Speaker, without having to utilize expulsion. Community service, put them to work instead of expelling them, which could lead them down the wrong path. Detention, Mr. Speaker. If they want to get away from their work by using their mobile devices, give them more work. To reiterate the contentions that my colleagues have said, Mr. Speaker, there are many benefits to using mobile devices in classrooms as a teaching aid, pedagogy, a means of teaching those with learning disabilities, course effectiveness. Mr. Speaker, I am doing applied math. I did applied math. There is a textbook for $60 US. There's an ebook that is free. Communication means and developing responsibility. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask God to bestow on them thy judgment wise, to rule the land aright. Mr. Speaker, we are all after the same goal, the betterment of society and the youth of our blessed country. And this bill can be invaluable if our amendments are taken when implemented, and if there is a balance, as a member for San Fernando East wants. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind the government that our decision today should be based on what is fair and just for society. The amendments we are putting forward are what is best for the youth, the future citizens, the future teachers, the future national youth parliamentarians, and the future parliamentarians. After all, Mr. Speaker, to quote from Dr. Eric Williams, contrary to the Honourable Member for Brea, the future of the nation lies in the children's school bags. Let us mold our society from now, Mr. Speaker, to become what we aspire to be, a developed state. Thank you, Mr.
Speaker. The Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll immediately begin with the refutation and/or justification for pertinent points propounded upon by the opposition. Now, the Honourable Member for Kumoto, he said that, responsible adults don't just appear from thin air. And I agree. Responsible adults were groomed. And in the era previously, if we watch responsible adults today, they were groomed in a generation where there was effective corporal punishment, and there was a notable absence of this advanced digital technology or mobile devices. So is that to say, the era we have now, this generation, we are lacking something? Because we tend to want to put all the discretion into the hands of the youth. And what do we see? Misuse. Now, Mr. Speaker, listen well. What if we were taught in schools the knowledge of morality, the functional convictions, and the cognizance of time's value, which the era of responsible adults right now have. If they were taught in schools these things, we wouldn't have 95% of the problems we have arising from the misuse of mobile devices. Will the member give way? Yes. No, I will not give way. Yes. Sir. He said yes. I will not give way. Yes or no? Now, the Honourable Member for Faizabad and the Honourable Member for Prt2 spoke of limiting the learning of the various capabilities and simplicities of mobile devices to an IT classroom or to the library or computer labs. Now, I want them to listen well and realize this. The laptops issued by the government since 2010 could be used in any classroom at any point in time to record notes, to search anything on the internet. You can't use your laptop in the classroom, any sort of class. They are allowed to use it. Okay. Now, anything edifying to education, we will propose to the minister, and we will want her to have spread throughout the education system in the land. The learning feasibility, as well as the mobile. Diego Martin West went on to say there are distractions, even with pen and paper, doodling, and so on. But that arises from the misuse of the equipment issued for a specific purpose. Similar to mobile devices, there are causes of misuse. These causes are two, and they are as follows. Exploratory nature of use and their manipulation. Their exploratory nature and their manipulation of the mobile devices. Won't you agree? Okay. Now, the way in which the government proposes to have deal with this situation, and we have dealt with it, is by providing them with a laptop where there is protective software, regulatory software to monitor the various activities of these students in the classroom, whether they are online or whether they aren't.
Will the Honourable Member give way?
Yes, I will give way.
What about the students who did not receive government laptops?
Those students who do not receive are only in upper six. And if they are so, only in upper six. And private school. Okay, we're talking about secondary schools? Okay.
Honourable members, in accordance with Standing Order 53, rules for members not speaking, please abide by them and make reference. Honourable Attorney General, please continue.
I'll explain later on. How I propose to deal with their exploratory nature and their manipulation is by providing them with laptops where we have protective and regulatory software in place as to monitor their various activities on these mobile devices. Now, the Honourable Member for Shogunas West, the difference between handheld digital technology and mobile devices are as follows. The digital handheld technology, anything that we can carry to class or iPad or phones that process or are able to interpret binary. The difference with the mobile device is that, as stated by the bill...
Honourable Attorney General, you have 1 minute to wrap up. Please do so.
Mr. Speaker, as stated by the bill, a mobile device is anything digital excepting the laptop issued by the government. There's a reason why I stress on this. The regulation of mobile devices, of digital technology would be the laptop. The laptop regulates the usage of digital technology by the students. Allow me to expound. The software, once again, protective and regulatory. What we don't want happening is a situation, the usage of their personal mobile devices within the classroom. With a member, now, to wrap up, they can't use their laptop. To wrap up.
Members, please allow the Honorable Attorney General to finish his speech. He has 10 seconds to finish.
Now, for 4 years, he spoke about the cost being 249 million for textbooks. Divide that by 4, you get 61.9 million annually. Now, annually, it costs 72.052 million for digital technology or mobile devices to be implemented within the education system. $10.2
Honorable
million
Attorney General, your time has now expired.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to address the leader of the to learn how to on their own. But I personally simply can't me on these times. We embrace. We want to know people saying that children are curious, and in order for them to be innovative, we must introduce other ways for smartphones created, and we need to know how to use them, I think. But I want to know, they also say curiosity killed the cat. But a cat, according to people, this suggestion, the old saying, a cat has 9 lives. How many lives does our children have? Well, how many lives does a child have? How are they to destroy their reputation and then get another life? There's no second chances in life. You just go on as it please. Ms. Pointe-Pierre, we know that it is a benefit that they provide for the children. But it only takes one opportunity to destroy that chance. It takes one opportunity to destroy that chance. Laventille West, you say that we have the severity of the punishment, but I want to state, where a principal of a school is satisfied that a student has acted in breach of section 3 and 4, the principal may suspend from attendance of any students whose attendance at school is likely for any serious cause. I would like to repeat, serious cause to have detrimental effect. I would like to wrap up, as most of my members have already addressed most of the points of the opposition members. And I would like to say, we therefore see that there is a need for this bill to be passed. There is a need, and the fate of our youth stands in our hands. The fate of our youth stands in our hands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Honorable members, the question is that a bill entitled an act to provide for the regulation of the use of mobile devices in schools and for related matters be now read a second time. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? I think the ayes have it.
A bill entitled an act to provide for the regulation of the use of mobile devices in schools and for related matters.
Minister of Education.
Mr. Speaker, as provided by Section 8, Standing Order 68-1, I beg to move that a bill entitled an act to provide for the regulation of the use of mobile devices in schools and for related matters be committed to the committee of the whole House.
Honorable members, the question is that a bill entitled an act to provide for the regulation of the use of mobile devices in schools and for related matters be committed to the committee of the whole House. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? Aye. The ayes have it. This House will go into committee to consider the bill clause by clause. And when you're
Clause 1.
The question is that Clause 1 stand part of the bill. The question is that Clause 1 now stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. Clause 1 now stands part of the bill.
Clause 2.
The question is that Clause 2 stand part of the bill. The question is that Clause 2 now stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. Clause 2 now stands part of the bill.
Clause 3.
The question is that Clause 3 stand part of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose that Clause 3 be amended by inserting at the end of it the following. Permission obtained in accordance with the National Schools Code of Conduct. My reason for doing so is, again, similar to my contribution earlier, an accident, which is an unforeseen or unexpected event, which can happen to any person at any time. I believe that should these events happen to any student, whether they be in primary school, secondary school, and so on, that they should be able to readily communicate with their parents, given the fact, again, that permission has been granted to do so prior to the usage of the mobile device. Thank you.
The question is that Clause 3 be amended as follows. No student attending a primary school shall use a mobile device while he is at school, during the school day, except permission to do so is obtained in accordance with the National Schools Code of Conduct as prescribed. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? I think the ayes have it. This amendment now stands part of the bill. Clause 3 as amended now stands part of the bill.
Clause 4.
The question is that Clause 4 stand part of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose that Clause 4 be amended as follows. At the end of the clause, after the words "are in session," please insert the words "unless permission to do so is obtained in accordance with the National Schools Code of Conduct as prescribed." My reasoning for wanting to do this, Mr. Speaker, is, as I mentioned earlier, the National Schools Code of Conduct, it addresses all the concerns that both sides of the government has, as of the opposition and the government, and I believe that it is the way forward in addressing the concerns of the regulation of the mobile devices in schools.
The question is that Clause 4 be amended as follows. No student attending a secondary school shall use a mobile device while classes are in session, unless permission to do so is obtained in accordance with the National Schools Code of Conduct as prescribed. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This bill as amended, this clause as amended now stands part of the bill.
Clause 5.
The question is that Clause 5 stand part of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I propose that Clause 5, Subclause 2, after the words "the principal may," we would like to insert the words "use their discretion to assign a suitable punishment as prescribed in the National Schools Code of Conduct." Mr. Chairman, my reason for doing so is that in the National Schools Code of Conduct, there are guidelines for the disciplinary actions stated that the principal can take. The removal of privileges, behavioral contracts can be issued, school community service can be issued, in-school suspension, and confiscation.
Hi.
Also, Mr. Speaker, we would like to remove Part C, sorry, Mr. Chairman, we would like to remove Part C and D from Clause 5, subsection 3. The reason for this being moving the students to another school is not going to solve the problem, and expelling them from school is in violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
I would like to know why do you think removal of the student is necessary, is not going to be effective?
If you move a child to a new school, how is that teaching them?
Perhaps the change in environment might be good for the students.
That's an assumption that is not backed up with any information whatsoever.
It's not backed up with any information. What is it? On what basis?
Can you provide for me cases where moving a child to a new school?
Perhaps the child is being bullied within the school.
So, okay, what if the child is not being bullied? And
but we are using the example. Perhaps the child is being bullied within the school.
Even so, are we going to punish a child that badly as to suspend them or send them to new school because we don't have systems put in place?
There's also teacher victimization
we don't
going
have
on.
systems put in place.
Members, please.
There's also teacher victimization. What will we do in that case? Leave them within the teacher's jurisdiction?
Is that not why we have principals?
We suppose the principal takes part in this venture.
Then I think that's something that you as the Minister of Education
with the Ministry of Education, which will require them for transferring to another school.
Honorable Minister of Education, I'd just like to address a statement where you said that perhaps the student we are expelling or suspending is being bullied. Are we going to punish or assign disciplinary action to the victim? I would just like you to correct that statement.
On a point of clarification, Honorable Member for Laventille West, she stated that if the person who has the mobile phone is being attacked by members of the administration, then that child is moved, not the child who did the wrongdoing. Make sure you have the statements clear, please.
I see your point, Honorable Minister. I stand corrected.
Comprehension skills is very poor.
No, but members, I will now propose the question.
Insulting language, that's a
members,
that's not a stand.
The question is that Clause 5 be amended as follows. Where a principal of a school is satisfied that a student has acted in breach of Section 3 or 4, the principal may use their discretion to assign a suitable punishment as prescribed in the National Schools Code of Conduct. The principal may suspend from attendance any student whose attendance at school is likely for any serious cause to have detrimental effect upon the other students. So, however, that no such suspension shall be for a period exceeding 1 week, and the principal shall notify the supervisor of schools. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to propose a division, please. Call for division.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. Salandi?
Nay.
Ms. Nanan?
Nay.
Mr. Conliff?
Nay.
Mr. Nabi?
Nay.
Mr. Paul?
Nay.
Ms. Shepherd?
Absent.
Ms. Ali?
Nay.
Ms. Phillip?
Nay.
Ms. Uta?
Nay.
Mr. Ramjan?
Nay.
Mr. Innes?
Nay.
Ms. Noel?
Nay.
Ms. George?
Nay.
Ms. Williams?
Nay.
Ms. Jeffery? Mr. Campbell?
Nay.
Mr. Radbeer?
Nay.
Ms. Nanton?
Nay.
Ms. Armstrong?
Nay.
Ms. Granham?
Nay.
Ms. Superville?
Nay.
Mr. Keith?
Nay.
Ms. Jackson?
Nay.
Mr. Kissoon?
Nay.
Mr. Manzano?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Maraj?
Aye.
Maharaj, sorry. Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Ballantyne Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Ramadar.
Aye.
Ms. Gopal Singh.
Aye.
Mr. Monroe.
Aye.
Mr. Beharry.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Ms. Roger.
Aye.
Ms. Leslie.
Aye.
Mr. Jack.
Aye.
Ms. Hansraj.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander.
Aye.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Utley.
Aye.
Mr. Jonathan.
Aye.
Ms. Beharry.
Aye.
It's 25 against. And 24. Therefore. Miss Ali?
Is she here?
She was absent.
So it's 25 and 20, right?
25 to 20, so therefore the amendment is not passed.
Yeah. So the bill. Honorable members, the result of the division is 20 members voted for, 25 members voted against, and 1 member abstained. Therefore, the noes have it, and Clause 5 now stands part of the bill.
Clause 6.
The question is that Clause 6 stand part of the bill. The question is that Clause 6 now stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 6 now stands part of the bill. Honorable members, the question is that the bill as amended be now reported to the House. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. The bill as amended will now be reported to the House. Minister of Education.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to report that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Regulation of the Use of Mobile Devices in Schools and for Related Matters was considered in the Committee of the Whole and approved with amendments. I now beg to move that the House agree with the committee's report.
Honorable members, the question is that this House agree with the committee's report on a bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Regulation of the Use of Mobile Devices in Schools and for Related Matters. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. Minister of Education.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Regulation of the Use of Mobile Devices in Schools and for Related Matters be forthwith read a third time and passed.
Honorable members, the question is that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Regulation of the Use of Mobile Devices in Schools and for Related Matters be now read a third time and passed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? Leader of the House. The ayes have it. Leader of the House.
A bill
bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Regulation of the Use of Mobile Devices in Schools and for Related Matters.
Leader of the House.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House now adjourn to a date to be fixed.
Honorable members, before putting the question on the adjournment, we are all aware that Trinidad and Tobago will celebrate Diwali tomorrow. I therefore now take this opportunity to invite the members to bring greetings to the Hindu community on the occasion of Diwali on behalf of their bench. Member for Tobago East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the government to wish the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension all members of this House, a happy and safe Diwali. Shubh Diwali. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for San Fernando West.
As the nation joins as one to celebrate this auspicious festival of Diwali, I take this opportunity on behalf of the opposition bench to share with you a few words on the significance of Diwali. Diwali is the festival of light, and the light which dispels the darkness of ignorance, the light which shows us the way through our journey of life. The purpose of Diwali is not to glorify the light of the candle or that of the firecracker, but to glorify the light of God. A candle burns out, a firecracker is momentary, but the candle of a still mind and the firework of a heart filled with devotion, devotion to a cause and devotion to God, that is eternal, and this is the true essence of Diwali. And as such, I would like to again take this opportunity on behalf of members of the opposition, and by extension, the members of the 13th National Youth Parliament, to wish the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago a Shubh Diwali. Thank you.
Honourable members, I thank you for your contributions, and I too am very grateful to take this opportunity on the eve of Diwali to wish both the opposition and the government, and by extension all members of the Hindu community, a safe and enjoyable Diwali festival tomorrow. Honourable members, allow me to express appreciation on behalf of all members of this Youth Parliament to the Trinidad and Tobago branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and the Parliament. Today's debate focused on two issues: a motion regarding climate change and a bill entitled the Regulation of Mobile Devices in Schools Bill 2015. The contributions made today by you, honourable members, were comprehensive and sought to highlight various issues surrounding these. The effectiveness of events such as this is determined by the impact it would have after today rather than the display of the day itself. Therefore, we trust that the issues raised and information highlighted during the debate will be reviewed and assessed by the relevant authorities. We wish to express our deepest gratitude to all officials who accepted our invitation and graced us with your presence. To our schools and institutions for selecting us, our family and relatives who exercised patience and assisted us in preparing for the debate, we say thank you. During our intense weeks of tutoring, we were trained by the vivacious Miss Catherine Gordon, who coached us on dress, etiquette, and civility. The ever-recent Miss Diana Mahabe Wyatt, who took us through the paces with respect to debating skills, aspects of debate, and standing orders. And Miss Marlene Davis and Dr. Barbara Jenkins, who drilled us on proper pronunciation of the English language. Mention must also be made of the coordinating team of the Parliament who contributed in varying measures to the successful execution of this event and for training us in the rules of parliamentary practice and procedure. It was truly a distinguished privilege to have participated in this annual debate. May I now kindly ask that you remain seated after the adjournment for a brief award ceremony. Thank you. Honourable members, the question is that this House do now adjourn to a date to be fixed. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Any against? This House now stands adjourned to a date to be fixed.
Please stay tuned here to the Parliament channel for a brief prize-giving ceremony, which will start immediately.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Very good, very good. President of the Senate, Senator the Honorable Christine Kangaloo. Speaker of the House, the Honorable Bridget Anisette George. Vice President of the Senate, Mr. Nigel De Freitas, who was also our head judge today. And Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Esmond Ford. Other members of Parliament, specially invited guests, youth parliamentarians, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Atiba Wilshire, and I am the Master of Ceremonies for this part of the day's proceedings. I had the pleasure of interviewing some of you. I was there when you all chose your portfolios. I got to Mako a little bit when you all were doing some of your training and that kind of thing. I must say I'm quite impressed by the amount of effort that you all put into the training and preparation. And I'm also quite impressed with the level and the content of the contributions that we saw here today. So please give yourselves a round of applause. Yes. I could tell that our parliamentary future is in good hands. Yeah? At this time, I would like to invite the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Bridget Aniqah George, to come and give some brief remarks, and we shall continue afterwards. Ms. Bridget Aniqah George.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Firstly, let me apologize for not having met you all at lunch. I'm not too well, and I felt I didn't want to pass on whatever I had to you all. But I was able to sit through today's proceedings, and I think you all need to be commended. This is the 13th Youth Parliament being held in this jurisdiction, and it follows on the heels of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Youth Forum, which was held in Australia at the beginning of this month, which brought together 50 youths from different Commonwealth countries. They debated a bill which dealt with deepening the democracy. And while your bill was a more specific bill, I think participation in an exercise like this certainly goes to deepening the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. It means your exposure to this makes you all like mentors for your peers. It also demystifies the parliamentary process. You know, there's a sage coming from the First Peoples who's been attributed with the statement that something to the effect that your children don't inherit the earth from you. We borrowed the earth from our children. And therefore I think this exercise, if I believe in that saying, I think this exercise is our way, because with every borrowing there's always a return, an interest. And I guess this exercise is the interest, our ensuring that you all from very early understand the process, participate in the process, and nurture you all for when you all do take your place in these hallowed halls. I do also want to commend a number of things that I've seen. The gender balance. And you know, we take maybe gender balance for granted in Trinidad and Tobago, but many places in the Commonwealth, they are still fighting for gender balance. And we saw it here in having your presiding officer and your deputy presiding officer being male and female. If you allow me just to look at my notes, because I made certain notes of what I had seen. You know, your audience, which would be wider than this, the TV audience, expects so much of parliamentarians. If you listen to them, they expect Parliament to be, I don't know, akin to either a church or maybe school. And therefore, you know, they have all these expectations about parliamentarians. I do, though, note a number of things. One, the whole tenor of the opposition paid regard to the fact that we could be adversarial without being obtrusive and without being objectionable. But again, going back to the fact that it is not school or it is not a church, we saw a little pecan pass, La Hoqueta, if I remember well, and I think that is a Laventille down there. That's a Laventille, what, east? Laventille east. Okay, we saw a little pecan, and that is permissible. Okay, even I saw that in terms of your decorum, you all stayed away from the crosstalk. And I think it's the deputy speaker who sought to invoke yeah, in a very strict way. But I think we have to remember that Parliament in itself is the place where some venting can take place. It must be done within the confines of the rules, the standing orders, but I think we who sit here, and people don't realize when you sit there, you hear everything. Even what somebody across doesn't hear, you hear everything. Where is the speaker? Right? You know, you hear everything. So there are some things I think we try to be above, but we, you know, do allow a little venting, but of course within the confines of the standing orders. I observed too that there was a great familiarity with the standing orders. I saw the member for Tobago West nudging at the member for Tabaquite when the speaker was on his legs. And he didn't realize that once the speaker was on his legs, he had to sit. And I saw her nudging him and making sure that he complied with it. And of course, Oropouche East, you really do know your standing orders when she is that St. Nancy's? When she referred to the standing order with respect to reading his speech. And she also, there was another one that you also pointed out, a breach of another standing order. So, you know, at least it meant that in the exercise that you all understood the importance of the standing orders. I have to commend the attire, okay, because we know it's business attire, and in this modern day, business means all kinds of things, but I think that you all have got the attire right, and even the members who wore, having regard to the Diwali season, having those who wore traditional wear that was covered and respectful, so I do commend you all on that. Again, just to go back a bit with the standing orders, there's one thing that I observed, is that remember when the speaker or the presiding officer says your time is up, your time is up. Okay, and I think it was you, Honorable Member for Brea, and please, I really don't mean to embarrass anyone. Okay, this is all a learning exercise. Even us in the real world make mistakes, so it's all about perfecting, not perfection, perfecting. So that I think when the speaker told you your time was up, I mean, I think like you still had something to tell him. Okay. So, you know, we have to respect the presiding officer, the chair, with respect to the time being up. Honorable Member for Diego Martin West, and there were other members, the Attorney General, I think Brea, San Fernando, one of the San Fernandos, I think is West. With respect to your leader of the opposition, with respect to your debating and using your notes, Tabaquite, okay, I particularly noted another young lady here. As some people I learned by constituency, by name, by school, okay, really referring just to your notes. You know, and you all have to be commended with respect to that. Now, as regards to the whip and the leader of the House, when it comes to time for a vote, you have a big job. Okay? A member was missing on the government side. your business is to ensure that all your members within the precinct of the Parliament, all of them are here when it's time for a vote. So you have to go in the washroom, wherever, and get them, right? So you have to anticipate that and make sure that all your members are present. As far as the presiding officers, just one comment. Remember, the presiding officer has to be impartial, and he has to, or she has to appear impartial. And sometimes when we do things, it leads to a question of whether to be impartial. So there was some inconsistency in the extensions given to people. Some people were given 10 seconds, some given 3, some given none, some given 2 minutes. You know, so I was wondering with that, but we have to be careful with respect to that. I want to commend the Speaker in his judicious use of time when he saw what was happening around lunch and realized that if he had allowed you all to speak till 12:30, then the deputy may not have got an opportunity in the chair, and therefore he brought an early lunch to allow for there to be speakers in the afternoon, and also for the deputy chairman, deputy speaker to get an opportunity in the chair. And that I know was all on the spur of the moment, right? And lots of things happen on the spur of the moment, in spite of the fact that you are speaking notes. So I want to commend you on that. I hope for you all the exercise does not end here. I know that you all have a motion, which you all have referred to committee and so on. I don't know what the training does, if it allows you all to come back. But I mean, outside of the organized structure which the local branch has organized, I hope that this has sufficiently whetted your appetite that you could continue to follow the process on the parliamentary channel. And because I'm such an optimist, I expect that one day soon, well, I am now on the other side of the TV, I would say, oh yes, I remember that one when they were in the youth parliament. But I think the important thing is whether you end up in a parliament or not, democracy means engagement of the people. And there are many ways for our citizens to be engaged. And I therefore expect that you all will continue to be engaged in the process. I want to thank you very much for your participation. I know you would have put in a lot of research and practice with respect to your contributions. I wish you all very well. In the spirit of the season of Diwali, this is light. And I think the Honorable Member is San Fernando West, right? He spoke about light and the eternal light in your hearts and your souls. And therefore we expect from this light, for light to radiate. I thank you all and I wish you all very well. Shubh Diwali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are going now to distribute some very nice tokens of appreciation to each and every one of you. Yes, I heard that, right? So we are going to move to that part of the proceedings, and I would have to call the Speaker back once again, please, to distribute the first set of tokens of our appreciation to you all. All right, so I'd ask Madam Speaker to come on. Right, stand right there. Right, and I am not as photogenic as you all, so I'll step out of the camera shot, and I will go over here. Thank you, Rashad, for turning my mic on. Okay. The first token of appreciation is going to be given. Wait, before we do that also, we would like, when you come up to collect your prize, well, I'll call your name, of course, come up to collect your prize. If you are seated within the rows, what we'd like you all to do, one person comes up, the rest of you filter down, then that person would go to the back of their benches and go to the last seat, which should be empty. Same thing on the opposition side, okay? All right. So let's get into it. The first token of appreciation is going to Mr. Speaker, Mr. Samuel Dwaraka of Fatima College.
Thank you so much.
The next token of appreciation goes to Chad Salandi of Fatima College. He was the Minister of Housing and Urban Development and the Leader of the House. And Karina, you filter down, right? Okay. Next up, Miss Karina Nanan, who was the Prime Minister. She's from the University of the Southern Caribbean and Member of Parliament for Tobago West.
Oh, okay, she's taking a picture. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Good. All right. Next, we move on to the Opposition Chief Whip. And the Opposition Chief Whip was Siddiq Manzano of St. Mary's College, Member of Parliament for Brea. Filter down. Right. Okay. Then we have the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Jabari Lynch of the University of the Southern Caribbean, Member for Kumuto. I'm trying to find the Attorney General. One brief moment, please. Yes, yes. Hmm? No, not yet. I'm trying to find I'm not seeing it here. Okay. Next, we have the Attorney General, Arnaldo Conliff. Presentation College San Fernando, Member of Parliament for Dabadi O'Meara. Thank you, Arnaldo. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. To distribute the next set of prizes, I'd like to invite the President of the Senate, Senator the Honorable Kristian Kangaloo. Okay. Next, Inul Nabi, Astra Boys College San Fernando, Minister of Finance and Member of Parliament for Chaguanas East. Justin A. Paul, St. Stephen's College, Minister of Health and Member for St. Augustine. Shamika Shepherd, Scarborough Center for Youth Development, Minister of Works and Transport and member for Couva South. Next, Salia Ali, Astra Girls College, Charleville, Minister of Tourism and Member of Parliament for Point Fortin. Aniqah Philip, St. Stephen's College, Minister of Public Utilities, member for Moruga Tableland. Sabrina Uttar, Serval South Zone, Minister for Social Development and Family Services, member for San Fernando East. Joshua Ramjohn, Naparima College, Minister of National Security and member for Caroni East. Dave Michael Innes, Minister of Communications and member for St. Joseph. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call on the Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Esmond Ford. Kanisha Noel of the Open Bible High, Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, member for Diego Martin Northeast. University of Trinidad and Tobago, Deputy Speaker and member for Couva North. Khadijah Williams, Point Fortin East Secondary, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, member for Manzanilla. Anaiah Jeffery, El Dorado East Secondary, Minister of Education and member of Martin Central. My good buddy Kashief Campbell, Point Fortin East Secondary, Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, member for Brea. Isn't he? Let me know when he comes back, please. Janelle Nanton, El Dorado East Secondary, Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs, member for Naparima. Narisha Armstrong of Shiva Boy Sindhu College, Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development, Minister for Tobago East, member for Tobago East rather. Yes, we're waiting on you, Rohan. Rohan Ragbir, Presentation College Shogunas, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Member for Tunapuna. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ford. Next, we'd like to call on the Vice President of the Senate, Mr. Nigel De Freitas. Shade Granum, Siparia West Secondary, Minister of Trade and Industry, Member for Maloney. Tiffany Superville, Toko Secondary, Minister of Planning and Development, Member for Lopino, Bonnier West. Savio Keith, Presentation College Shogunas, Minister of Public Administration, Member for St. Anne's East. Crystal Jackson, St. Joseph's Convent, San Fernando, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Member for Laventille East Mova. Joel Kissoon, Presentation College, San Fernando, Minister of Legal Affairs and Member for Princestown. Thank you very much, Mr. De Freitas. Next, I would like to call on the Leader of Opposition Business in the Senate, who was also a former Speaker, Mr. Wade Mark. Aisha Moore, Ashjuk Girls College, Charlieville, Opposition Member and Member for Toko Sangre Grande. Dylan Maharaj, Couva East Secondary, Opposition Member, Member for Barataria. Malik Lewis, Shiva Boys Hindu College, Opposition Member for Oropouche West. Denisha Ballantyne Smith, St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain, Opposition Member for Pointe-à-Pierre. Varun Ramada, Naparima College, Opposition Member for San Fernando West. Daniel Gopal Singh, Open Bible High, Opposition Member for Shogunas West. Abayomi Monroe, St. Mary's College, Opposition Member for Arima. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark. Next, I'd like to call on Government Senator W. Michael Coppin. Travis Beharry, Astra Boys College, San Fernando, opposition member for Aruka. Brandon Woods, Presentation College, San Fernando, opposition member for Caroni Central. Alicia J. Roger, St. Joseph Convent, San Fernando, opposition member for Faizabad. Priscilla Leslie, Toko Secondary, opposition member for La Hoquita. Aniqah Beharry, Lakshmi Girls Hindu College, opposition member for Oropouche East. Thank you very much, Senator Coppin. Next, I'd like to call on Opposition Senator Ms. Khadija Amin. Shakeem Jack, Goodwood Secondary, Tobago, opposition member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. Katerina Hansraj, St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain, opposition member for Diego Martin West. Michaela Alexander, Astra Girls College, San Fernando, opposition member for Talparo. Kristian Taylor, Serve Hall South Zone, opposition member for Laventille West. Joshua Otley, University of Trinidad and Tobago, opposition member for Mayaro. Thank you very much, Ms. Amin. Next, I'd like to call on Member of Parliament for Princestown, Mr. Barry Padara. We have some tokens to distribute to persons who, while they might not have filled the role of members of Parliament, they were members of staff. Oh, that was my mistake. Then we shall call Winston Kwame Jonathan, Youth Training Center, opposition member for Port of Spain South. Maisha Sandiford, Couva East Secondary, Maisha was the clerk of the house. Megan Mangal Singh, Lakshmi Girls Hindu College, assistant clerk. Cassie Ransom of Siparia West Secondary, Marshal of the Parliament. Thank you very much, Mr. Padara. Next, I'd like to call on the Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister and the MP for Tobago East, Ms. Ayana Webster-Roy. Jessica and Katia, Astra Girls College San Fernando, Deputy Marshal. Jolize Leander, Scarborough Center for Youth Development, parliamentary attendant. Michael Dorset, St. Stephen's College, parliamentary attendant. Thank you very much, Michael. Now I could step back in. You all might have noticed there were 3 adults seated in the media gallery taking notes. You all didn't see that? Yeah. Oh, see some of you all didn't. All right. Those 3 adults were our judges. They were assessing your debating skills, your content, and all of that good stuff. Because every year, we give a special prize for the best debater, right? Those 3 judges were Ms. Diana Mahabir Wyatt, former independent senator. Also, we had Ms. Lila Rodriguez Roberts, who's the head of our Hansard unit. And the head judge was the Vice President of the Senate, Mr. Nigel De Freitas. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. De Freitas to give some brief remarks about what the judges thought of the debate today. So, Mr. De Freitas.
First and foremost, let me say good afternoon to everyone. First, let me congratulate each and every one of you on a job well done. I would like to congratulate the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition and Leader of Government Business, honorable members, parliamentary workers and clerks. It was indeed a job well done. To stand up and debate an issue is by no stretch of the imagination an easy task, as it can be considered a form of public speaking, an activity which just happens to be the #1 fear of most individuals. Yet today, what I stood witness to was a nation's youth that faced that fear and did so with grace, eloquence, and intelligence. If indeed the society of the future is a reflection of the youth today, then I can say with a surety that the future is bright. The exercise today reflected the highest standards of debate and good parliamentary practice. Arguments both for and against were insightful and educational. Give yourselves a round of applause. I can continue to say with a surety that you have done your schools proud, you have done your parents proud, you have done your country proud, but most importantly, you have done yourselves proud. I wish to implore each and every one of you to do not let this be all. The experiences gained today will no doubt aid you as you transition into adulthood. The art form of debate is cousin to the skill set of negotiation, both of which will come in handy on your respective journeys to success in your life. As such, I challenge each and every one of you to take the experience gained here and build on it. Build on it in your schools, build on it in your homes, and build on it in your various constituencies. And one day, you would have not only debated in this honorable house as young parliamentarians, but as honorable members. I wish to thank you and again tell you a job well done. Just to give you some brief insight as to some of the criteria that would have been used in judging the various contributions. The criteria used was one of presentation, accuracy, relevance, delivery, and diction, each one carrying a total maximum number of points of 10 towards a total of 50. And as the master of ceremony indicated, there were 3 judges, so you would have had a total of 150 points. And based on that, we would have come up with the strongest debater for the evening. So I'll now pass you back to the master of ceremony for the announcement. Thank you.
For the announcement of the best debater, I would love to keep you all in suspense, but I wouldn't. I'd like to call the Speaker of the House back once more, and she will keep you all in suspense. Would you like to have a drum roll first? And the best debater is...
Mr. Master of Ceremonies, I've not seen anything on this paper.
You know they give me a blank sheet of paper?
The most outstanding award goes to Mr. Joshua Ramjohn.
Joshua Ramjohn. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Now we have a very special prize that the distribution of which is not on the program for today. We have to call on Anaiah, who was the Minister of Education, to give this prize. Anaiah, come and stand in the center. Right? Anaiah is taking center stage.
I am here today, to present to the most beautiful, loving, my second mommy, We gave her help.
Yes, we
over
did.
the
Yes, we
past
did.
few months. And she has, well, according to everyone, she has treated us the nicest over the years. She has toned down on us for us. So, Miss Stout. Because you know we love you with all our hearts. And you know we're still gonna bother you after these years pass by. Yes, we have your number. We have your number. Speed dial. And it's shared in the group, so we hope to keep in touch and we love you. Thank you for everything.
Oh gosh. Okay, I want to say thank you all so much for this token of your appreciation. Working with you all was difficult. It was really, really difficult working with you all because some of you all don't take instructions too nicely. And I really hope those of you who don't take instructions too nicely will change that part, but otherwise you all were really, really nice, a nice group to work with. And again, I want to say thank you, and I want to wish you all in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Very good. All smiles all around. Good. At this time, to give the vote of thanks, I would like to call on the President of the Senate, Senator the Honorable Kristian Kangaloo.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, Honorable Speaker of the House, Mrs. Bridget Aniqah George, all other members of Parliament, our youth parliamentarians, teachers, students, parents, guardians, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is at one and the same time a privilege and joy to be here with you today. A privilege to have witnessed what has turned out to be a lively and stimulating debate on a most relevant and timely topic, the regulation of mobile devices in schools. And a joy to have observed our country's young and brightest minds engaging in an exchange of ideas in so spirited and yet so dignified a fashion. Too often, we are regaled with stories of happenings in our country that make us feel ashamed. How wonderful it is, therefore, that we have had an event like today's, when our Parliament and our schools can come together and make our nation proud. Young people have it drummed into their ears over and over that they are the future. But simply to say that young people are the future is to do nothing but repeat a tired cliché. It is, I think, far more helpful to discuss the kind of future that we as a nation are helping young people make for themselves. Other than telling them that they are the future, what part are we playing in helping those under our care shape that future? It seems to me that this annual youth parliamentary debate is one small but significant part of the way that we as a country have been trying to answer that question. When we as a nation create opportunities for young people's voices to be heard on a national scale, as today's debate did, we are doing much more than sending our young people off into an uncertain tomorrow with a platitude about them being the future. Rather, we are creating platforms for young people's ideas to be advanced at the same time that we are exposing them to the inner workings of our democratic processes and hopefully, and I say this hopefully, inspiring them to consider full and active participation in national service in time to come. We are helping them to see and define the future. The only way to influence the future is to become involved in shaping it. And it is our hope that by your participation in today's debate, you will have become less inclined to be spectators to the future and more inclined to become masters of it. Participation in the political process is one of the most important ways of shaping the future. As a somewhat older parliamentarian, permit me to give you some advice, as we older persons often do about politics and national service. There is no more noble cause, and there is no greater future reward in store for you than the cause of and the reward which comes from giving yourself to the service of your fellow man. However, we adults may have let you down by our own imperfect examples. I urge you not to forget that the true meaning of politics is service for the good of your fellow man. In Book 7 of Aristotle's Politics, for example, we are told that the primacy of the good of the soul and that the best way of life, both for states and for individuals, is the life of goodness. And so the ultimate goal of political participation, especially at the parliamentary level, is to change people's lives for the better. It is, as Aristotle put it, to achieve the best way of life, both for states and for individuals. It is to achieve a life of goodness. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that today's participation will open your eyes not just to the possibility, but to the imperative of achieving in Trinidad and Tobago a future of goodness in which each of you has a role to play. I hope that the role of parliamentarians, which you played today, and which you all played so wonderfully well, is but a rehearsal for the roles which many of you will play in time to come, so as to secure for all of Trinidad and Tobago a life of goodness. I want to congratulate all our youth parliamentarians on a job well done, and to thank you for your interest and for your wholehearted participation. You were eloquent, gracious, well-poised, well-prepared, and humorous at times. The challenge for you now is to take all that you have learned and continuously apply it to your everyday lives, and to educate your peers and to inspire them to get involved in the process of nation building as you have. To our facilitators, Mrs. Diana Mahabir-Wyatt, Ms. Catherine Gordon, Mrs. Marlene Davis, and Ms. Barbara Jenkins, we say a heartfelt thank you for your time and dedication in coaching these wonderful young people on the finer aspects of debating skills and the standing orders, dress, etiquette, and civility, and oratory skills. You did an outstanding job. To our panel of judges, Senator Nigel De Freitas, Vice President of the Senate, Mrs. Diana Mahabir-Wyatt, and Mrs. Leela Rodriguez-Roberts, we thank you for your time and your penetrated and inspirational assessment of the debate. We say thank you to our procedural clerks, who took the time to prepare and mentor and train our youth parliamentarians. We congratulate you on our job well done, as evidence from the smooth debate we have had today. We also thank the Parliament and its Planning Committee for the hard work and the successful execution of yet another National Youth Parliament. To our Clerk of the House, we say a heartfelt thank you for facilitating and supporting this event every year. To our schools, tertiary institutions, principals, teachers, parents, and guardians, we warmly thank you and congratulate you for the time, dedication, and support that you have provided these young people over the past months. We implore you to continue supporting them in all aspects of their lives. To everyone else who has not been expressly mentioned, but who assisted in the successful execution of this event, we say thank you. Know that you have our gratitude and our admiration. Know that we could not have done this without your support. It is my hope that our young people have enjoyed the experience, and I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. It is also my hope that all of us, the young and the not so young, will take the opportunity afforded us by the celebration of the festival of Diwali to join our Hindu brothers and sisters in reflecting on the life of goodness which triumphs over evil, and of the life of light which triumphs over darkness. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kangaloo. We are almost at the end, but before we are dismissed, we have some brief announcements. Announcement number one. Some of you had indicated that you would need transportation, right? So we would like for you all to please speak with the Assistant Marshal at the back to my left so that you can finalize your transportation arrangements. Secondly, we have some beautiful plaques to give to your schools. It's one per school. So could we please have one representative from each school come up and collect their plaque after we're dismissed? Not now, when we dismiss. Right. Thirdly, we are going to be doing some interviews with I should let them know? Yeah? With the Speaker of the House, the Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, the Clerk of the House, and the Best Debater. Those 5. So could you all stick around? We'll be at the back. See where that cameraman is at the back there? Philip? We'll be at the back there. And last of all, we are going to go to the 6th floor where we are going to have some refreshments. Yes. But you have to be escorted upstairs by members of the Parliament Police Unit. Very well? Good. So we shall be an organized bunch. Before we go upstairs, make sure we take care of the first 3 announcements that I made, and then we'll go upstairs, okay? All right. I haven't dismissed all yet. Really going. Thank you. You all have been a wonderful bunch. Please get home safely. Very good. We are dismissed.
With those words, we've come to the end of our coverage of the 13th National Youth Parliament that took place on Monday, November 9th, 2015. You would have just witnessed the Youth Parliament as well as the award ceremony that followed. As indicated by the Master of Ceremonies, in just a few moments, the students will proceed to another part of the Parliament building where they will be the guests of honor at a reception hosted by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. If you tuned in late and you'd like to see the proceedings again, it will be rebroadcast at 6 p.m. today, and also it's available on YouTube. We have a live stream that streams all of the proceedings of Parliament, and that's accessible at youtube.com/ParlView. So from all of us here at the Parliament channel, we thank you once again for joining us for today's coverage of the 13th National Youth Parliament. Do have a pleasant evening.
This has been a presentation of the Parliament Channel on Parliament Radio 105.5 FM. Follow the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago